Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to go through an overview of this workout program that I made and tried out. I did it for 5 weeks and it was a 6-day-a-week program, but I missed a few days, so it took me a little bit longer. Basically, the inspiration behind this was from this Bridge Athletic webinar where they partnered with Westside Barbell, and they were talking about their program where they do 2 strength days and 1 dynamic effort day. So kind of like 2 strength, 2 power, because the standard conjugate split from Westside Barbell's 2 strength days, 2 power days. But if we're training athletes, that's kind of a lot of volume and a lot of work to ask for them, a lot of fatigue. So they kind of cut it down. So I said, okay, I could do 2 strength days, 2 and 1 power day. And then another thing I took from the conjugate method was every single week, or in this workout, twice a week, I'm going to do a 1 rep max. So we could see here, first week was barbell back squat, second week was conventional deadlift, then pin squat, then sumo deadlift. And when we go here, standard barbell bench press with the pause, with chains, and now with bands. So we're adding a lot of variation to make it almost impossible for us to plateau. So that was the idea behind it. I modified it a lot, so I'm not even sure if we can call it conjugate at this point. But the first block was a hypertrophy block. Before we get into the individual workouts, I'll take you through the split. So day 1's like a lower bodies with a little bit of everything, a little bit of power, some strength, hypertrophy, and mobility. Day 2, some aerobic cardio with mobility and a little bit of core. Some upper body strength, upper body hypertrophy. Anaerobic cardio, and I switched this one up, I think, next week. But anaerobic cardio and a little bit, just some accessory work, a lot of core mobility. Here was the power day, sprints, cleans for technique. I'll get more into it later, but just power on this day. And then aerobic cardio and some accessory work. And then next week I found, because I did accessory work, farmer's carries for the grip, and then back extensions. And then the day after that I did deadlifts. So then for this week I switched it up, where I put them on this day before speed. And then this workout here. So the first circuit of the workout, after you warm up, broad jump into box jump. So a little bit of springy force, but mostly just power off the ground. Trying to put power before strength to potentiate motor unit recruitment. Trying to get the legs fired up, all the neurons fired up. Skater side plank. You're doing like a side plank, but the bottom leg is driving up. So a little bit of isometric adductors. And then squeezing the core as hard as I can to potentiate a good brace for the heavy squats. Standing hip flexor iso. It's a hip mobility exercise where you're doing like a little knee hug, letting go, and using your hip flexor to drive your knee up. So that, as well as potentiate mobility for when I do squats. Worked my way up to a 1 rep max of 107. So next time I do barbell back squats, it has to be more than 107. but it's going to be a month from now, so it shouldn't be hard for me to beat 107 because you're 1-rep maxing every month with that movement pattern. Single leg RDLs, starting off pretty light, 2 to 3 reps in reserve, just because I find they just always make you so sore. So if you train to failure, you're going to be too sore for the next workouts. Easy core, a little bit of rear delts, just to increase the frequency and volume of like rear delts. Seated pancake, so some adductor mobility, active mobility, a little bit of core. Back foot elevated, knee behind ankle split squats, so your back leg hip flexors working at length, and then your front leg hamstring glutes are working through length. Little bit of load just to make it challenging, and then we could get some actual muscular adaptations out of it. Next workout was basically just a prep for the workout coming after. A little bit, very easy bike, like 4.5 miles, 15 minutes. So this is like a recovery almost from the squats and RDLs. Ankle mobility, front foot elevated split squats. A hip mobility exercise, so pretty easy, or hard exercise, but easy to recover from. Some rotational core. This also helps get blood flow to the shoulders because you're doing little chops. Banded shoulder external rotation holds. And then internal rotation, so little iso, little stretch. And then some active mobility, linear mobility, rotational mobility. And then similar to the squats where, you're just working your way up. X because I failed, and then this time I got it. So next month when I do barbell bench press, it has to be more than 77.5. Bent over row. First week doing the program, starting off pretty easy. Side plank starfish, so working a little bit of glutes. The Pilates mom exercise. Kind of like how here we're adding band pull-aparts to work the rear delts. Here we're working a bit of abduction on an upper body day just to increase frequency and volume. And it's relatively easy systemically, so it won't be hard to recover from. Endurance for the arms. Little hypertrophy circuit. If you're tri-setting and you're doing pull-ups with bicep curls, you're not going to be able to go as hard, so it won't be as fatiguing, but you're still getting a good hypertrophy stimulus. Next workout, and remember I switched the orders around for the rest of the workout, but this one like really hard. And originally it was a 5-day program, and the workout looked like this. But that was just too hard, so I had to split it into 2 workouts. There's some really hard anaerobic conditioning, so 2 minutes, hardest 2 minutes of your life, 4 minutes to recover, which actually isn't a lot of time. You're still breathing really heavy, and your first 2 minutes is going to be you're going to produce a lot more force, a lot more power output than the next 2 rounds. A little bit of single leg balance stability, core, mobility, and core. So pretty light day overall, aside from the air bike, which is good because we got another hard day here sprints. So I'll sprint 10 meters and then like jog out another 15 maybe, and then walk very slowly all the way back. So that's my recovery, is jogging it out and then walking very slow. For technique, I have no idea what my 1 rep max is because my technique's not really good enough for me to test. Same thing as before, potentiating a good core brace and then mixing in mobility. I like this tri-set kind of circuit thing. If you're training power, you need a lot of rest time, or else you're not going to be able to produce as much force. So while we're resting, we're working core and mobility as part of the rest, but it also helps potentiate our nervous system and our body. And then some heavier cleans. Band resisted plyo push-ups. So the band's pushing you into the ground. You're working a lot of shock absorption in that as well with the wrists. Trying to strengthen that area. Core assisted plyo push-ups. So you're moving faster than you normally would because the band's helping you out. Just to add a little bit of variation in the velocity of movement. Slower than regular plyos, faster than regular plyos, and then mobility. While you have blood flow to the shoulders, we're working shoulder mobility. Push press for technique, push press for power. Lateral jumps, so stick the landing, and then next block, the strength block that you see over here, will progress these. And then that Cossack squat for mobility. Easy bike, little recovery basically. Farmer's carry for your grip. And then while you're resting, some tibialis raise to take care of our lower leg. And then mobility, some low back, glute, hamstring kind of care. And we'll progress the rep range every single week. So that's the workouts block. If we look at the individual workouts, how they change. The orange part, the first circuit, stays the same every single workout. Second leg day, conventional deadlift, which was really poor compared to previous experience, where almost half a year ago, I pulled 147 without the belt. So such a small gain for so much time. And I realized just because I wasn't deadlifting frequently enough, which I made the adjustment in this strength program to just get rid of the deadlift. Because I find if you sprint to get more power in your legs, you do split squats, you do jumps, that's going to help with your squats. But the only really way to get better at deadlifting is to deadlift. And how much is deadlift going to translate to other movements? And we could talk about motor unit recruitment and posture and that kind of stuff with the deadlift. But other movements train that as well. So for me, after I did this, I was like, I'm getting rid of deadlifts next block and probably the following blocks as well. Single leg RDL, I did the same thing as before, I believe. Just was not a good day for me. 2 missed lifts. I did 152 and I tried 153 and I couldn't get it. So I was like, done for the day. If you're not feeling good, don't push yourself, especially with 1 rep maxes. So I did not progress in that sense. And then mobility stayed the same. Same for first circuit. Then I tried some pin squats. The height, it was like a half rep, but a little bit less, so like almost like a quarter squat. So I had no idea how heavy I had to go because I did 107, and I thought, okay, with the pin I might get 140, 150. So I started warming up really light, and then I realized, oh, like this is pretty easy. So I had to make a 20 kg jump. Oh wait, no, what is this? Yeah, sorry, wrong workout. 50, 60, 70. I went like way too easy. And then I got up to what I thought was a 90%. I was like, wait, this is way too easy. So I did 125, 135, 140. And then I tried 145 and failed. So less range of motion. I only thought I'd be getting 120 and ended up getting 140. I think if I were to do it again, I'd drop the height because 140 and 107 is a big difference. Single leg RDLs went 5 pounds heavier, but I dropped the reps. Yeah, and then I did this one. I did the split squats. I don't know why it's not here. Whatever. Same thing. The same sumo deadlift, which dropped a lot. Because my sumo, here was my conventional, which was like barely better than before. And I used the belt, where before I wasn't. 153. My sumo was a lot better than my conventional, but I just didn't train it. And like I said before, if you get better at jumping and running and doing other accessories like split squats and step ups, you're going to get better at squats. But unless you're doing sumo deadlift, you're not really going to get better at sumo deadlift as much as the other movements. So I stopped really early and then just went on to my accessories. One more rep than last week on the RDLs. Everything else is the same. Last week, week 5, I progressed, so got up to 110 kilos, so 3 kilos heavier, and then I tried 111 and failed, so 3 kilo progress in 1 month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do 3 kilos every single month and you're consistent with it, 36 kilos a week, or 36 kilos in a year, or 72 kilos in 2 years. So long term, this is a lot of progress, but it may not seem like 3 kilo jump in a month is a lot, but it kind of is a lot. If we think about how sustainable this program is. Yeah. Last week of the program, we went from 2 to 3 reps in reserve, 50 pounds, 11 reps, to 1 to 2 reps in reserve, more reps and more weight, because it's the last week of the program. And then the day after that, so this one I skipped because I think I was on vacation or I went home for a week. At 4 miles on the air bike, very easy. 4.2 miles, 3.9, very easy. Rest, recover, mobility. Barbell bench. 77, failed that, got in on the second try. Started pretty light. I did a pause, which I was not expecting it to be that high. Pause bench press is only 3.5 kilos less than regular, which was interesting. Added 1 more rep here. The first 2 sets I got 18, third set I didn't. That's why I wrote 2.5. And then banded face pulls and bicep curls was more reps. Added chains just for the sake of variety and making it easier to beat your previous 1 rep max if you have more movements to test. Added 1 more rep here, added another rep here, added more reps, O, meaning orange band. I had a friend ask me, I did chains and then bands. He's like, if there's more weight at the top, less weight at the bottom, they're doing the same thing basically. So what's the point of doing chains and bands? Just because if you're 1 rep maxing every week, you don't want to plateau. So it's the same-ish resistance curve, but it's a different movement. So more opportunity to beat your 1 rep max. And 75 kgs, 68. It's a different resistance at the top and at the bottom. Bent over row, added a rep, 1 more rep, 1 more rep. And then the last week, so this was my previous max. I beat it by half a kilogram and then by 1 kilogram. Same thing, it may not seem a lot. You mean I benched for a month and I only added 1 kilogram? But if you do that for 12 months, you're adding 12 kilograms a year, 24 kilograms increase. So in 2 years, I'll be lifting more than 100 kilograms if I continue to progress the way I'm progressing. Bent over rows taken to technical failure, not true muscular failure, but 12 reps, 15, 15, 13. I like to take sets to failure because if I say 2 to 3 reps in reserve, am I actually in 2 to 3 reps in reserve? Was this, I did 9. Could I have done 12? Could I have done 13? Could I have done 14 reps on June 28? I don't know. You never know how many reps you can actually do until you train to failure. So that's why I added this at the end of the program to kind of, you're getting more fatigue, but you're knowing that you're actually training where you're supposed to be training. So for example, skull crushers, 18 reps, I thought was 1 to 2 in reserve. A little bit too light because I got 23 and then 20 and then 18. So for skull crushers, I probably should have been trying to do more. Pull-ups. And this workout, I was at the end, this part, like I was working out with a friend and we were like chit-chatting. So that's why I got a bit more rest. So reps would have been lower if I wasn't resting so much. But still, we can see 6 reps, pull-ups, 6 reps, 7. And then when I train a failure, 12, 8, and 10. Not quite 2 to 3 reps in reserve. So pull-ups, I wasn't doing enough. Training to failure let me know I wasn't doing enough. Banded face pulls, 40, 35, 35 with the red band, 35 with the blue band, which is heavier, black band, which is even heavier, 30, 30. So, making progress with that every week. Bicep curls, 16, 15, 15. That was 2 in reserve. Probably more than 2 in reserve. Probably more than 2 in reserve. So, good way to test yourself to see if the numbers that you're trying to hit are actually true or not. Then some easy recovery. Grip strength, 85 I did for the whole time. but I can't do 40 meters. So like I'll do maybe 20 meters before my grip gives out. And the next week I might make it 22 meters before my grip gives out. And this week I might do 25 meters before my grip gives out. So you're doing the same thing, but it's how many times you fail, and when you fail is where you progress with the movement. The mobility, there we go. 30, 25, 20, 35, 25, 25, 35, 30, 25, 35, 30, 30, and then very last week, 35, 35, 35. Next block, either add weight or do something to make it more difficult. Single leg variation, because we're getting up to a little bit very high rep range. I believe these workouts stayed pretty much the same every single time. I added 2.5 kilos onto the cleans. And then I dropped it again because my technique just wasn't good enough, I found. The way you progress with these movements is just by moving faster. You're doing the same 10 by 10 sprints, but next week you're going to be 0.01 seconds faster every sprint. You know, the cleans are going to be whatever percent faster. Your push press bar is going to move faster than it does last week. So that's where progression comes into play, even though same amount of sets, same reps and everything. Second last week, added 5 more sets. And then everything else, sets and reps, is the same. Have not done this yet. Today's August 1st. I'll do this tomorrow. My goal is 20 sets. But with sprints, I like to train more intuitively. So I might be more, might be less. But that's the goal, which is double what we started with. And then everything else is going to, same rep scheme, just go faster. Faster than before. And then the last workout, air bike really hard. I like to track everything. So if we compare the week before, like what I did here, I did more miles, 1 more calorie, lower peak, but higher average cadence, which is interesting. And then, see, so I did basically the same miles, same cals, almost the same peak, almost the same. So I use that as a way to judge fatigue. If I'm trying as hard as I can, but my average cadence is lower, my calories, my miles are lower, it might be a sign of fatigue. And overreaching, basically the same. Lower peak again, but same average cadence. And then I've yet to do this workout. So basically, yeah. Pros and cons. I think 1 rep maxing is too fatiguing for what you get out of it. I really enjoy the high-low split, like hard, easy, hard, easy, hard, easy. I think that easy workouts, I mean, this one's very time-consuming, so I'm doing 3 sets of everything. This one is hard to do the accessories because you're so fatigued from the bike. And this one's I find is good. Intensity-wise, intense, but short, and everything else is relatively easy, systemically speaking. What I don't like, and I've made the adjustments in the next program, the only squats I'm getting is from the 1 rep max. Like this week, I'm not squatting at all. And this week I'm not squatting at all either because it's deadlifts and RDLs. And same thing with bench. The only bench I get is from 1 rep maxing. The other two circuits are all pulling. So I wanted more volume with less fatigue is what I'm trying to change next circuit. And then making something like this workout to be a bit easier because it's supposed to be an easy day. I'm probably going to get rid of cleans just because my technique's not quite good enough. And when you're fatigued, if I do cleans, so right now I'm sprinting before I'm cleaning, so I'm already fatigued a bit from a nervous system perspective and from a muscular perspective. So cleans technique might not be the greatest. If I put cleans before my sprints, then my sprints are going to suffer because I'm not going to be super fresh. I'm going to be a bit fatigued. And the cleans still won't be the greatest because there's such a high technique demand that for me it's not worth it right now. In terms of like accessories, I feel like there is a little bit of junk volume, like lateral lunges for mobility I could probably get rid of. Like single leg, and it's a lot of reps and it's just time consuming, especially for an easy workout. So my next program, which I haven't finished making it, I just want to give you a little sneak peek. Lower body strength, upper body strength, like a bike and cardio and abs, which this is going to change a lot. And then power day, repeated lateral jumps. So jump, 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 jump. Whereas here, I was going to jump, pause, jump, pause, jump, pause. So this is power, this is plyometrics. Hypertrophy, well, power and then upper body hypertrophy. So like, instead of doing just strength, 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 hypertrophy, 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 strength day, hypertrophy day, and then easy bike. I haven't tried it out, so I can't speak too much about it, but what I'm trying to do with this that I like, that this first one that we just went through that I don't like, plyometrics, and then including actual plyometrics in here. Because it's now 4 hard days and 2 easy days instead of 3 and 3, we can put more volume. So I'm squatting every week and I'm doing RDLs. I'm thinking keep these the same, just oopsie, your standard movements. But for bench, because I've got all the numbers, I could do something like 1 to 2 in reserve and get a 1 rep max calculator to find the exact numbers for a flat bench press, for a pause bench press, for bench press with chains, for bench press with bands, because I know the exact numbers and exactly what I'm going to lift. And it's pretty much the same movement pattern. So that's what I want to do with bench. Not the first week though. First week, I'm going to go lighter, maybe 3 in reserve, just to test the program, see if I need to make changes before I start pushing myself hard. And then here we fix the issue, benching with actual volume, and then doing rows, and then good volume for the arms, elbow care. Can't talk about this because haven't thought about it much. A strict hypertrophy day, well, power here, which will help. Dynamic effort Pendlay row will help with my barbell rows. Pull-ups for hypertrophy. Now instead of benching once a week, we're benching twice a week. And then we're going to shift farmer's carry. Before was, where is it? 40 meters, 85 pounds. Now we're going 80 meters. So a little less grip strength, more grip endurance this time, which is ironic because we're on a strength block. But there's already so much strength, that we don't need it as much as before. Just too much fatigue. So more endurance type training. I'm thinking I might make that 3 sets though. Just cause everything's at least 3 sets. That should be 3 as well. Banded cat-cows is only 2 sets. But I wanted, banded cat-cows here. Banded cat-cows here. To get more frequency. It's like a back spine mobility thing. So we're getting good blood flow to that area, which is what I want, more frequency rather than volume on a single day. So that's what I've been working out so far. Would I recommend other people try it out? No, because I made this, this is the volume that I can handle. 6 days a week is a lot, but I work at a gym, so I spend 0 minutes commuting. I spend $0 on gym fee. So it works for me. Does everybody else have the same goal as me? No. But if you want to use this the way I use Conjugate as like a template, if you want to use this as a template, be my guest. You can screenshot it. You can do whatever you want. You can share it with your friends. I think it was a pretty decent program for what I wanted to get out of it. I wanted to learn what my actual 1 rep maxes were, so that, if I could squat 110 kg, I go here like 1 rep max calculator. Okay, I'm going to squat, 4 sets of 4. I could do, let's say, 90 kgs or 4 for my first week just to get into the groove of things. And then I'll go 93 kgs for 4, which is like a 2 in reserve. And then, next week I'll push 96 kgs for 4. And then I'll go 99 kgs for 4. And then on my very last week of, after I do this workout 4, 5, 6 times maybe, I'll try 105 kgs for 4 or something like that. But we can do bench press as well. 78.5. if I want to get a good strength stimulus, I could do 66.7 for 4 reps. 66.7. I can do something like this. It's like 2 RIR. So now I know I'm getting a good strength stimulus. And I don't have to train to failure to question, is this a 1 rep max? How many reps in reserve do I have? Well, the calculator is telling me. So I like the program in the sense that it gives you a lot of numbers, but if you have to use the numbers, you have to want and do something with the numbers to make all of the fatigue of getting the numbers worth it. It is very mobility heavy focused. I think it's good to, you're putting your cat cows, you're putting your shoulder cars, Cossack squats. Because if we're resting, 2 minutes for 6 reps of push-ups, you might as well get some value while you're resting. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something that you can take home with you and implement into your own program.